June of 2021, when I left my daughter's father's house. Okay. I went to go and stay at a shelter. Okay. Now, I couldn't stay at my own home because the pipes to my basement in the home that I was living in had busted, and it had flooded my whole entire basement. So the housing management was working on remodeling my whole entire basement. But then during that rebuilding process, the remodeling process, that's when stalking began. Police reports were made and so on and so forth. Now, during this time that my basement was flooded, I had told him that, and he knew that I needed to go back to Minot so I can take care of what I needed to take care of as far as my house at the time. He did not want to take me back to my place or even back to the city of Minot because he was dependent on me being dependent on him, because he figured if I did not have a place to stay, which I still had my place at that time, that he was the only one that I could depend on because he was the only one there that I had knew. This is what I went through the whole entire time I was in North Dakota. Okay. So I had to go through the YWCA. Now, one of their shelters was already full. One of their women's shelters was already full. And they was working on building a new one. So they were giving out hotel vouchers for women and children that needed a place to stay, that were fleeing domestic abuse, that were just coming out of human trafficking. It was just a lot. So they would give vouchers for that specific hotel. Now, that wasn't a hotel where you could just walk in and just book a room. No, this was a hotel specifically for women and children. Until they built and got together they new women's shelter. It was only one women's shelter in Minot, North Dakota at the time. So with all the human trafficking and all the just weird stuff that goes on with the women there, and it's a lot of women that go through a lot of abuse in North Dakota. Trust me, I know it, and I was one of them. They needed to build a second shelter. So they gave me a voucher to stay at this hotel that was meant for women and children that were fleeing certain situations, that were in hiding from certain people. That was a protected place for women and children. And lo and behold, I was recorded coming out of that safe zone, going into Walmart to get food to feed my children, okay? And I was recorded going back to my safe zone. I was stalked, unbeknownst to me, until it just ended up on YouTube, social media one day, okay? There was not a lot of people in North Dakota looking for me, okay? Now, I'm not going to name the other person that he was with that helped him stalk me. I'm just going to give the initials BL. That person is also mentioned and documented in my paperwork as well. If you don't know the full story, you should stay out of it. There are always two sides to a story. Now, the reason why I left his house the night that I left, if he's not going to say why, then I'm not going to say why. But just know my children were very shooken up. They were distraught. When I got in from work that night, they were crying. They could not believe or even begin to understand why that man would come to them the way that he did while I was at work behind my back. My children come first in everything. So with all of that being said, when I confronted him about it, yes, something happened. Okay? There's proof of what happened. But again, it was all about the daughter, right? So we're not going to go there. Yeah. I was stalked. I was harassed. My safety place was found. And at this point, this is when I began to start to document. And a lot of things were presented. A lot of things were proven that I was absolutely stalked and harassed. Okay? If it was about the daughter, first of all, he wouldn't have never given her back to me. Second of all, if it was so much about her, when they found where I was residing at the time, they would have just went ahead, or he would have just went ahead and did what he had to do far as social services or whatever. You know, he would have just handled his business far as paperwork or legal work, whatever, because the location was found. I'm clearly right here on camera being recorded, being stalked. But instead of him going the correct route, the proper route, okay, that any mother or father, if they really thought that their children was in any type of harm, if he really thought I was homeless, which I never was, okay, I was basically in protective custody, because that's what the YWCA is, okay, and also the Domestic Violence Crisis Center that's also located in Minot, North Dakota. That shelter was full at the time, and I had been there plenty of times. Okay, I also had to go back and get reference letters from all the other shelters that I've been to in North Dakota. One specifically, Ruth Myers in Bismarck. That shelter has since closed down, but all the information was still in the database in the social services in Bismarck, North Dakota. So I had to get a letter from them. I had to get a letter from Beulah, North Dakota, the women's shelter there. And I had to get one from Mandan. I had to get one from Minot. Everything is documented. Any mother or father that has any concern about their children, especially once you find out where they at, you're going to take the proper steps that you need to take to get your child or children out of whatever situation that you think they're in. But no, he wanted to stalk and harass me on social media, post my children's information, post my mail, things that I didn't even know that he had access to. Complete violation. And so that's when I started documenting. I absolutely had to do that. And I had to get out the state, because by this time the stalking was just too much. And another thing, far as this person right here who helped aid him in the stalking and harassment of me, this individual don't know anything about me. See, what had happened was, this individual, we gonna call him BL, okay, for legal purposes. Again, he's also in my paperwork. I am telling my story. I am not committing NT crimes. Everything is documented with timestamps, dates, and everything that you need to see that this really happened. But anyway, what happened was, this individual was actually homeless. This individual was sleeping in his Cadillac in Chicago because he had got laid off his trucking job. And at that time, he was trying to find work, and he was trying to get back stable and get back on his feet. When he first came to North Dakota, we were living in Hazen. Hazen is the smallest town that we lived in North Dakota, probably one of the smallest towns in Indy, okay? We were staying in Hazen, North Dakota. He came with his Cadillac packed from everything from clothes, socks, to he even had a microwave in the back of his car. Okay, so he came to stay and get on his feet and work and eventually get his place and get his stuff together and things of that nature. Me and this individual never really had deep conversation. Okay, the thing is, I understand that that's his friend, but at the end of the day, nobody has held this man accountable for the things that he has done wrong. Okay, this man is not a saint. I know that he wear many masks. Okay, I know this man on a level that BL did not know him on. I know him on a level that his family and friends did not know him on, okay? And dealing with people with these type of personality disorders, they are never, ever the villain. They always have to either be the victim or the hero, or sometimes both. And that's just crazy to not hold a person accountable. If you say you're someone's friend, if you say you love someone, or close to someone, there is no way on God's green earth that you're just going to sit idly by and watch them make the dumb mistakes that he made. Make the criminalizing statements that he made. And help aid and assist him in these crimes as well. Especially when it comes to children that are not even his. Okay? At the end of the day, yes, I know I have done things that was wrong. Yes, I do know that. So has everybody. Nobody is perfect. But at the end of the day, at least I am woman enough to admit the things that I have done wrong. I ain't never finna sit in front of nobody's face and say it was all one person. But for an individual to not be held accountable, for no one to ever hold this man accountable, I had to do something about it, especially when it came to my kids, especially when it came to stalking me. So BL did the absolute wrong thing by, first of all, aiding and assisting him, getting online, speaking about me, didn't know nothing about the situation, and only taking his friend's side without even hearing mine. Not the fact that I even cared that he heard mine, but the fact that you did not hold this man accountable for the crimes that he was committing against me and my children. So you are a part of this legal work. Okay? See, BL just didn't aid and assist him in the stalking of me. Okay? He also aided and assisted him in the abusing of me, in the emotional abusing, in the physical abusing, okay, in the psychological abusing. There were plenty of times, okay, where at this point I was pregnant, okay, but there would be plenty of times where he would get mad at me for just little things like not waking up to make his lunch, or just not cleaning up how he want me to clean up, or something out of place, or just something small, you know. We would argue about small things, and he would take my keys, okay? He would put me and my children out the house. Mind you, it gets freezing cold in North Dakota. Here's one of many conversations that we had. We were having a conversation about me coming to live back with him, okay? This was before I had got my first apartment. I'm going to explain to y'all in another part how and why I got my first apartment. But as you guys can see, he's apologizing for putting me and my kids out this one particular night. We had to sleep in my car. And you can also go on to read that I accept his apology, and I explained to him that my children, they were very small at the time, by the way. You see me, saying that, my kids are, because my kids would look at him and call him Uncle Lee. They would call him that forever. They always called him that. They never called him dad or stepdad or anything like that. They always called him Uncle Lee. But my kids have witnessed a lot. They have witnessed the physical abuse. Yes, they seen him put his hands on me plenty of times. But majority of the time, they would see him putting me out, get you and your kids, SHIT, putting my stuff by the door, taking my keys. Just, y'all can read it for yourself. But this is just one example of many conversations that we had about him putting me and my children out. And like a jackass, I always forgave him. See, people always used to say, when he first came out, slandering my name, well, why you ain't never called the police? Why you ain't never do this? Why you ain't never do that? Man, listen. If y'all ain't never been in an abusive relationship, if y'all ain't never been in a psychological abusing relationship, an emotional abusive relationship, I can't even begin to explain to you. Like, it's so hard to explain, okay? But anyway, let's continue. And be sitting right in the living room, and I'd be texting his phone, and I'd be knocking on the door, and he'd just sit there because he was told to not let me in. And okay, I get it. I understand. But don't sit there and act like that this didn't happen. Don't sit there and act like that you didn't witness none of this. Don't sit there and act like that that's not what you did. Don't sit there and act like that that's not what you participated in. Don't sit there and act like I'm lying. Don't you do it. It's only one man that I really respect, and that's his brother. I'm not talking about B brother. No, I'm talking about my stalker's brother. And I got so much respect for this man that I'm not going to even say his name on this platform or on any platform. But there was one particular night where his brother was there. He was visiting. And he had went to work, and we started arguing over something small, something simple. It was always something simple. The stupidest things, the smallest things that would just tick him off. Okay? Like being with a narcissist, it's like you have to walk on eggshells every single day. You don't know what mask they gonna wear today, what mood they gonna be in today. Or matter of fact, it was like living by seconds. Okay? You could be on your best behavior and the smallest thing could tick this man off. But anyway, we got to arguing about something. And I just got tired to the point where I stopped responding. Because I was tired. Okay? So me and the kids, we hopped in the car. We drove to the gas station just so I can get some fresh air. I had to go for a drive. I come back. I'm locked out the house. I'm like, what's going on? So I go downstairs and I sit back in my car. Me and my children, we are in the car. I had a Chevy Lumina at the time. And next thing I know, I'm texting him and texting his brother. The brother walk up, we drinking the beer with the beer in his hand. He looking like he's stressed out. He come over to the car. I'm like, what's up, bro? What's going on? And he tells me, my brother said not to let you back in the house. Facts. This is on my whole entire life. This really happened. And I said, well, what did I do? He said, I don't know, man. He just said not to let you back in. I said, well, where we gonna sleep? This was before I had ever slept at a shelter. Now, again, the putting me out, taking my keys, the locking me out had happened plenty of times before, but I had just dealt with it. Like, I just dealt with it. Didn't know nobody there. It just got there. It was just, stuff just went left real fast, okay? But, the brother was like, listen, he said that he the one to pay the bills in the house. So whatever he say, go. He said, but you know what? I'm not with putting no women and children out no house and no code. I swear on my life, I would never forget this night. His brother said, I'm going to let y'all up and I'm going to let y'all sleep. But I'm going to wake you up an hour before he get in. And we went upstairs and we stayed in the children's room. And we slept on a blow-up bed. And sure enough, his brother came in the room, woke us up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And me and my kids got up, went back downstairs, and got in the car as if nothing ever happened. Like we slept there all night. And he, when he walked up and was finna go in the house, he looked over in the car, gave me $40, literally 2 20s, and told me to be on my way. That was the first time. That's how I found the women's shelter in Beulah, North Dakota. Because Beulah, North Dakota, it was 15 minutes over from Hazen, North Dakota, where we were staying. That was the very first shelter I stayed at in North Dakota. Because at that point, I was tired. I was tired of it. I was tired of getting kicked out, getting my keys taken, all type of abuse that me and my children went through for the longest staying in North Dakota.